Once upon a time, there was a little girl who always wore a red cloak with a hood, so everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother asked her to take a basket of bread and treats to her grandmother, who was feeling ill and lived in a cottage on the other side of the forest. "Stay on the path and don't talk to strangers," her mother warned. "I will," Little Red Riding Hood promised, and off she went. As she walked through the forest, she admired the flowers and listened to the birds singing. Soon, a wolf appeared and asked, "Where are you going, Little Red Riding Hood?" Forgetting her mother's warning, she replied, "I'm going to my grandmother's house to bring her some treats." The wolf grinned slyly and asked, "Where does your grandmother live?" "She lives in a cottage on the other side of the forest," Little Red Riding Hood said. The wolf thought of the wicked plan and suggested, "Why don't you pick some flowers to make your grandmother even happier?" Little Red Riding Hood liked the idea and stepped off the path to pick some flowers. While she was distracted, the wolf ran straight to grandmother's house. When the wolf arrived, he knocked on the door. "Who is it?" grandmother asked. "It's Little Red Riding Hood, bringing you some treats," the wolf replied, imitating the girl's voice. "Come in, dear," grandmother said. The wolf entered, jumped at grandmother, and locked her in a closet. Then he put on her nightgown and cap, climbed into her bed, and pulled the covers up to his chin. Soon after, Little Red Riding Hood arrived at the cottage with her basket. She knocked on the door. "Who is it?" the wolf called out in a high voice. "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood," she said. "I've brought you some treats, grandmother." "Come in, dear," the wolf said. Little Red Riding Hood went inside and found grandmother in bed, looking very strange. "Grandmother, what big ears you have," she exclaimed. "All the better to hear you with," the wolf replied. "Grandmother, what big eyes you have," she said. "All the better to see you with," said the wolf. "Grandmother, what big teeth you have," she said. "All the better to eat you with," the wolf roared, jumping out of bed. Little Red Riding Hood screamed. A woodcutter passing by heard her cries and rushed into the cottage. He chased the wolf away, saving Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother. Little Red Riding Hood learned her lesson and promised to always listen to her mother and never stray from the path again. And so, Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother lived happily ever after.